Okay. Ooh, I gotta smooth out that transition. That happened to me last time too. Kind of abrupt.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
Indeed it is. So it's 3 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. This must be goRIA the live stream. And I apologize. I think I'm a little laggy today. So please bear with me. We'll have IT take a look at why this is. But needless to say, we have Aaron Klein with us, which is an absolute super treat. I've been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks now. Aaron, welcome to the live stream.
Great to be on the live stream with you.
Okay, so just to frame this a little bit, we use this live stream to let the audience know what is new on goRIA. And of course, Aaron, just a couple of weeks ago, we recorded a podcast together, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But first, I do want to give thanks to our sponsor, LPL Financial. And as I like to say about them, about this on the live stream, if you like LPL as an independent broker dealer, you will love them as an RA custodian. And I'll tease that for the podcast. So if you want to hear the backstory on that, spoiler alert, it involves Aaron's co-founder, Michael McDaniel. That's a great story. So again, I'm watching myself on the screen here. I am very laggy. Apologies. Okay, housekeeping aside, let's get to the main event here. Aaron Klein, thanks again for joining us. And, we talk about the podcast, and we will in just a moment. But I know it's been just a couple of weeks since we last chatted. But I'm just curious, anything new with you?
Well, yes, that is true. And I got to tell you, we were recording that podcast, and I'm like, man, I want to tell my friend Chuck, but I've been sworn to secrecy that I couldn't talk about this transition in advance. So a lot of my closest friends were texting, "What the heck?" But it's one of those things when you're. I actually told one reporter I was talking to, he said, "Man, this is just really unexpected." And I said, well, if you expect a CEO transition to occur, that's probably not a good thing for the company or its employees or its customers. If it's unexpected, that's probably means that it's a good thing. It's okay. It's a good thing. And in our case, it's a great thing. I am really, really excited about the decision, to bring a guy named Dan Zitting aboard as our new CEO. He is just a phenomenal leader, a phenomenal software veteran, has worked in the areas of growth, in the areas of risk and compliance. He's a CPA by training. And so that has given him, I felt like that gave him a lot of empathy for, it's not quite a financial advisor, but it's adjacent to a financial advisor. And that very technical, professional user who is the heart and soul of who Nitrogen is and who we serve. And so I'm super excited about bringing Dan aboard. He is a scaler at heart. He has, really scaled some great software businesses into being even more effective for their customers. And I'm just really excited about that. And, I'm not going that far. I get to continue to have a front row seat and do my part to contribute and help Nitrogen succeed. My title just shifts next week to co-founder. And, I'm going to stay on the board, stay very involved. I'm going to spend my first day as the former CEO of Nitrogen flying to a conference to speak for Nitrogen. So it feels like nothing much has changed.
So it's kind of like, what is it, Michael Corleone, right? You keep bringing you back in.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
We're all thankful that is the case because, you and Nitrogen are clearly synonymous, and looking forward to the new leadership, of course, but really looking forward to having you involved still. And as a user of Nitrogen myself, that's very comforting to know.
Yeah. Awesome.
Good stuff. And I promise the audience, we will talk about this podcast, but since I have you here, and I'm just kind of curious myself, right? So I'm the CEO and founder of a much, 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 much smaller enterprise. But as a founder of a company myself, identity is so tied to my firm, Sovereign, that it'd be curious for me on how you're feeling about that separation as the day-to-day person. You will always be the co-founder, of course, and always instrumental. How does that feel, or has it not fully sunk in yet?
That's a great question. My wife keeps telling me she's not sure that it's fully sunk in yet, and she could be right. She's usually right about most things. I will say, by the way, you say much smaller, but the impact that RIA firms get to have on human beings and people is so profound. I feel like some of those founder and CEO feelings are probably even more intense when you're having such a direct impact on people. We feel them just one degree away because we feel like our mission in life is getting to stand behind the amazing financial advisors who are making that impact on people. And so, anyway, but all that said, look, if you look up bittersweet in the dictionary, I'm pretty sure that this is there. Like, I love this organization and I love this team. And so there's absolutely a little bit of wistfulness. I'm generally somebody who looks forward, and I am excited about new adventures in the future. I don't have any plans right now. Like, I'm definitely going to take, I actually wrote down in my notebook, like something like 5 years ago, when you step out of this role, you owe yourself and your family 6 months. Like, it is a debt that you owe, and it can't be paid back in anything but time. And so I'm going to definitely take that time and just kind of pour into my 3 kids who are in high school this year, my wife who is going to be this summer in between degree programs. It just feels like it's a great opportunity to do that. We're finishing our house in the next couple of months. It just feels like it's a great opportunity to do that. And, who knows what I will do professionally next. I don't think I'm done with my career at age 45. But I'm excited. It's a world of possibility, and at the same time, I get the best of both worlds because I love nitrogen and I love this organization, and I get to have a front row seat sitting on the board as co-founder to help this organization continue to succeed. And I'm so excited that I'm not going that far.
And again, that's music to my ears. And as a user, we love nitrogen, our advisors do, and on behalf of thousands of advisors, thanks for everything that you've done with that solution, because it's become an integral part of our firm, that's for sure. So and you're just such a pleasure to talk to all the time, and I look forward to more conversations in the future. Okay,
sure.
So let's talk a little bit about what we talked about, right?
Yeah.
So the whole idea of the podcast, and this was brought to my attention, was on your social media, and I know you're prolific there, and hopefully you'll remain prolific, but you said something on social media that I found to be really interesting, and that was the idea of taking a risk first approach to growth.
Yeah.
Now, without giving it all away, right? Because we want people to listen to the full podcast. Taste. What do we talk about, or what do you even mean by that?
Totally. And I think that, early on, one of my first, talking to financial advisors, I remember one advisor telling me, there's 2 things that we have been taught never to talk about with clients. And I'm like, I presume that it's religion and politics. And he goes, no, it's risk and the short term. And I found that so counterintuitive because, of course, human beings tend to react to risk in the short term. And so what the insight that kind of created Riskalyze, which became nitrogen in the first place, was the idea that no. Counterintuitively, every financial advisor should lead with risk. And that ultimately is the greatest driver of growth in our practices, because what ends up happening is we establish credibility in understanding who our clients are and showing them how they are misaligned with where they want to go, and showing them how they can get aligned with where they want to be. And so, we dive into a lot of detail on how that really played out in the podcast. And that ultimately has created the franchise that Nitrogen is, and the growth platform for wealth management firms.
Yeah, no, we've been doing a number of these podcasts now. So I think, we've been doing goRIA as a standalone with investment now for about 2 or 3 months. So we've done a number of podcasts, but this one is a really good one for advisors to listen to. And this kind of transcends the RIA broker dealer, right? Because you guys have clients that are both.
Sure.
We talk about going RIA, of course. I am biased toward RIA. I love the RIA space.
Yeah.
But we really touched upon things that would be really useful for any advisor to hear, especially coming directly from you. And there was a little touch on the RIA side, which I would like to talk about for just a moment here. And this could be a great follow-up podcast, maybe with, I think you mentioned Justin Boatman. Maybe we'll get him on as well. I heard he's a pretty good rapper. Is that true?
That's true. He rapped part of the keynote where he had 20 seconds to talk about like 20 features in the product. And so it was quite good. But you're absolutely right. I would argue where the difference is, and I don't want to overemphasize this, but I do think it's really interesting. What's a really great thing about the RIA space is it's really when firms are kind of heading down the RIA path, they're really crystallizing, thinking about themselves as a business, not just as a practitioner, but
Right.
as a business and building a business. And so one of the things that we've built, which, we have our Nitrogen Elite product, which is for elite, financial advisors everywhere to drive growth through risk with their clients. But specifically for RIA firms that are starting to scale, or larger wealth management firms that are starting to scale, we rolled out Nitrogen Ignite, which is really focused on the 3 to 9 advisor firm, and Nitrogen Ultimate, which is just a bigger set of capabilities, typically focused on the 10 plus advisor firm, again, depending on exactly how that firm is going to grow. And so those capabilities are really starting to unpack things like, hey, let's give that business owner, that leader, that CEO, a bit more of a viewpoint into the compliance aspects of the business. As we're scaling and adding more advisors to a firm, we're also adding complexity to an RIA firm. So we need the tools to be able to sort that out and be able to understand, how do I really create one firm with 6 or 7 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 100 advisors, instead of having 6 or 7 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 100 firms under one address, right?
Yep.
And so compliance tools to like help you sift through that and look at how we're serving clients, insights to help you figure out what are the drivers of growth and you can slice and dice that by advisor within the firm. And then really the ability to just manage data across the firm and controls across the firm, so you can create that consistent client experience. So that's a lot of the tools that we've been building and delivering as a part of Ignite and Ultimate for these scaling RIA firms.
Yeah. And I tell you what, we are really like the poster child for that, because we were, a couple of advisors that just like to use Riskalyze, right?
Yeah.
On Nitrogen, of course.
In the early days, that's
In
right.
the early days, which wasn't that long ago. That was like 2.5 years ago, I think, is when we started.
Okay.
Well, as far as with Riskalyze and
Okay.
Nitrogen, and it's really grown with us. So now we're not a huge firm. We're 15 advisors.
Yeah.
But to your point, what's
That's a lot
interesting
of
is
growth
we have
for a couple of years, Chuck.
Yes, thank you. No, we're super proud of that fact for sure. But what I have found as the CEO of Sovereign is, wait, we have 15 advisors. They don't run directly the same way. The common denominator is they work in their client's best interest as fiduciaries.
Yep.
That's all I need to know.
Yep.
But what we've been able to do is boil compliance down to the common denominator, which is risk.
Yep.
And essentially what we're going to do, and I would love to have Justin come on, and we'll kind of compare notes, especially if he promises to wrap. Exploring is basically having our advisors pick a number between 1 and, let me get my hand on there, between 1 and 5. And 1 would be, a risk score of, 1 to 15. 2 would be a risk score of 16 to 25, capital preservation, conservative, so on and so forth. And I don't know of an easier way to deal with compliance. And I'd be a very effective way to deal with compliance. So would love to do a recap, maybe in a few months with Justin, and say, like, here's what's been going on, because we're as excited about a compliance tool as one can be. Let's put it that way.
Well, I remember too, chief compliance officers asking me, how do you have my advisors wanting to use a compliance tool? And I say, well, the dirty little secret here is they don't see it as a compliance tool. They see it as a growth tool. It just happens to make them a lot more compliant. And, it happens to document, by the way, we don't turn bad advisors into good advisors, but it documents that great advisors are actually operating in the best interests of their clients. And it just kind of natively documents that. I love that, because that's the kind of thing that we want to shine the light on, is great RIAs acting in the best interests of their clients.
Absolutely. Well, that seems like a great way to wrap up this live stream. And for those of you in the audience, simple enough, go to www.goria.com and you'll see the full podcast that Aaron and I recorded. And one other thing too, just as a longer term teaser, but GoRIA will be live at the Fearless Conference, which of course is on my calendar, but I believe is it October of next year?
October 23 to 25 of 2024 in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City. And I will be there, and can't wait to see so many of my great friends in the RIA space there as well.
Well, that's going to be a lot of fun. So at that conference, you'll see Aaron, you'll see yours truly. I'll be setting up with my little live stream podcast booth, and we'll be doing these types of live streams both days, coming to you live from Nashville. So that's something to look forward to.
Awesome.
All right, Aaron, thanks again. Try to enjoy, not try to enjoy, but enjoy your 6 months. Try to stay good. I know you're a busy guy with a lot of ideas, and would love to have you back sometime later in 24 to talk about how that's going.
Can't wait, Chuck. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks, everyone. And we will see you this time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, next Wednesday for the next live stream. Take care. Thanks for joining us.